What are you doing here today?
Is this some kind of setup or something?
What
I'm just on my way to the beach.
You can put that in the fridge.
You know what? I don't want this cookie.
No, I just stopped by.
What's wrong with that?
Me, my mommy, and my daddy.
I'm here. Party. Oh my God.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TCAP IT OFF, the To Catch a Predator podcast, where we cover everything from role-playing chat rooms all the way to Murphy, Texas. We are your hosts, Jake Scholl.
And CG Myers.
And today we will be covering a classic in the TCAP world, the one and only Jeff Stacy. Jeff Stacy going by the screen name Single TX Guy for Fun. He's a classic in the realm of TCAP because of his voice being what CG and myself have been going back and forth with as chain smoking Mickey Mouse.
I think everybody calls him that, though.
Yeah. He does have just that high pitch but kind of scruffy voice. It's very meme worthy.
Yes, I don't know if I listening to him talk, because I've been in the last few weeks just researching. He sounds I don't know. He doesn't sound completely like Mickey Mouse, but it's just he sounds like somebody who's just squeezing his balls as he's talking.
I mean that's a fair comparison. So moving on from just his screen name and his voice, let's pass it on over to CG and he'll give a little more information like we do on every episode.
Alrighty, so looking at his chat log, which we'll get into more of it as the episode goes on with him and Chris's interview, which is a very interesting one. But he asked the decoy all these weird questions. That's where his famous, lovely catchphrase of "It's a question" comes from. So, he asked the decoy if she's had her period, and if she's ever had sex. In the interview with Chris, he asks Jeff these things, and he's just well, what's wrong with that? Oh, I'm sorry. He goes, what's wrong with that?
I was say any quote you do by Jeff, you need to do in your best Jeff impression.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's right there, his entrance into the house. He seems like he's leery about the whole thing.
Yeah, he almost it as the minute that he walks into the house, he almost seems to be as soon as he hears the decoy going, "Oh, I'm just getting ready," he's like, "Okay." And then she's like, "Well, you can have a seat at the table." And he's like, "Okay." It's almost this weird I'm here but I shouldn't be here sort of scenario. Some of the other predators, they kind of go "Oh, I know what this is," sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's just not smart enough or what, but he's just "Okay, well, it's a 50-50 shot."
It's let's just go for it.
What's wrong with that?
Exactly. And I don't think we mentioned this at the beginning. This is from the Greenville, Ohio sting.
Okay.
And at the time, excuse me, I had a Coca-Cola. At the time, if I remember correctly, Jeff was 27.
Yes, and he told Chris that he was 21.
Which, even if he was 21, if he would be 21, that is the oldest 21 year old I've ever seen.
I was yeah, like he does like when he said that, I'm like, dude, you look like you're 30.
Yeah. Well, that's I think we talked about him in the last episode with Hambubger. He's the same way. He's what was he, 53?
I'm not entirely sure on that. I know you like him, Bumker.
Yeah, so I think he's funny. I think he's a little more on the ridiculous end of things, but like Hambubger, if I remember correctly, was 53 at the time of the sting, but
Mhm.
he looks like he's 80.
Yeah,
And the same thing goes for Jeff. He's 27, but he looks that age. To say you're 21 is a bit of a stretch. Stop scrolling, I can hear you.
sorry.
Or scroll quietly. Um but yeah, like just the age thing alone did not help him.
No.
Uh and then like in his chat, I think if we looked at the decoy's name, the decoy had a pretty great name, was Sadie the Smarty.
At least it's better than I am a ninja.
No, not I am a ninja, because even that's a little too intelligent for PJ's decoy names,
True.
because it was I is a ninja.
Oh, okay. Um, but well, back to the to Chris's interview. Um, Chris is asking, and watching the interview again, like Chris just seems like, well, he asks like, and who are you here to see tonight? And Jeff is like, I don't remember, and he's like, you don't remember who it is? And he's like, I think her name was Amanda, and he's like, well, here I think it's like Stacy or something like that. Um, and he's like, "Oh, I thought it was Amanda." And he plays this. Jeff plays this game of I don't remember. Like some of the other predators, somewhat play this game of I don't remember, but in Jeff's case, his playing of I don't remember like sets Chris off. Like Chris just goes like if we think Chris like goes off on other predators, um like he does, but for some reason he just won't let it up
Yeah.
for Jeff. Like he then is like asking him like, so why did you ask the decoy these questions? And he responds with, well, it's a question, and I ask everybody these questions. So Jeff, let me get this straight. You ask everybody that you communicate with want to have sex, and or um have you ever had sex before, and are you a virgin, or and this and that and the other. And yeah, I
But
kind
even
of
like sorry to cut you off, but like even those questions aren't even like the worst of his questions that he has for the decoy, because like
no,
the period question of
yeah,
him asking if they've had their period is very personal.
yeah, like
And
questions that I can think of that to ask someone, what's your birthday, um do you like dogs or cats, do you have squash, like those are questions you ask, not have you had your period yet.
yeah, just like, red's my favorite color. How about you? Not, do you like sex? Like,
um but
in like some of his other ones, just like, about, to be a little less vulgar about it, like about the decoy consuming his semen,
mhm.
like just stuff like that. You don't ask everybody that question.
No.
And so for him to use that excuse, I'm giving it the Jake seal of disapproval.
Okay.
Well, I give all these predators a seal of disapproval. They're all stupid, but yeah, just to use that excuse is, I no, I
And
disagree with.
and then Jeff then goes, "Well, it's just talking. The internet and real life are two different things. Which, okay, in one, and I'm not saying this to like give him credit or anything like that, but he is a little bit right. Some people on the internet pretend to be someone that they're not. True. But in this circumstance, it's wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. But but if you think about it, also in the Greenville investigation, I can't think of the predator's name right off the bat. He gives a very similar uh like excuse where he says something along the lines of like fantasies are dreamed up in your mind, things you're not really willing to do in person. But like he
Yeah.
goes into this like almost like Lord of the Rings-esque like monologue. Oh, I just bumped my mic stand, I'm sorry. But yeah, like he goes into this monologue of like fantasy and reality, and it's and very similar to Jeff Stacy where he's saying, you know, the internet and reality are two separate things. That's it's so invalid because you're still doing both of those things.
Yeah. Something that Chris said is, all right, well, if you, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says, like, all right, well, you say that it's separate from real life, but you're here, and that shows intent.
Exactly. Like, let alone the fact that he knew, like, the decoy had openly said in the chat that she was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So her age was out there. He knew the age. He continued to chat. So right there was a red flag. And a bigger red flag went up once he got in his car and drove to the house. And like you
Yeah.
said, that's showing intent. And he knew what he was doing,
Yeah.
but continued to do it. So for him to say the internet and reality are two separate things, it's just talking and it was a question, this and that, it makes no sense, and it does not absolve him from what he did.
Yeah. But kind of piggybacking on what you said of, you know, showing intent and, you know, you making the effort to show up. Um, you know, once Chris kind of like tells him like, okay, it is against the law to do this stuff, he then kind of like just breaks down. Like he gives up very quickly. Like
He does.
some of these other predators, they're kind of like, what? No,
Yeah,
I didn't.
they try to like fight their way to make it that
They're innocent.
yeah, but as soon as Chris is just kind of like, but you're here, that's
He
the point. And he's just like, oh.
Well, not only that, he doesn't just go, oh, but he says like, oh, but then he's like, well, I didn't know. I'm sorry for whatever I did. Like basically like, hey, I'm sorry. Can I go home now?
Yeah, thinking that just and I'm sorry is going to absolve him from the intent of showing up to have a as Chris would say, a sexual liaison with a 15-year-old.
Can I go home? I got American Idol on DVR.
Yeah. I don't know, what was this, 2006, 2007? Did DVR exist back then?
Fine, TiVo.
Yeah, yeah. And that, man, American Idol, man, that was a great show.
I think it's still on.
I don't know. Dude, I've watched one season like years ago. It was the year Scotty McCreery won, and I was pissed because Scotty McCreery won, so I stopped watching it.
You don't like
Regardless,
Scott
regardless, coming back to his to Jeff Stacy and not Scotty McCreery.
You never know, he might be a pedophile too.
Well, I'm not looking to find out. So,
Watch me get one person complaining about that joke.
Yeah. So,
He's my
once
favorite.
will you shut up? So, once he's arrested, he's then taken to interrogation. This is where we start to get a couple more Gems in Jeff's repertoire of memes.
Well, not only memes, but like when he like shows up, like if we think he'd like shut down during Chris's interview, he just sits there like a sad sack.
But that's because he knows what he did.
True.
He thought he could be slick and get away from it with with all his excuses, but he now knows that he's been caught, so
I'm
he's
I'm
just got to sit there.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop you there. Saying, what's wrong with that? It's a question. Is not
Yeah.
excuses.
Yeah, that's literally admitting to you doing these things.
Next time when you're in a situation when someone's grilling you about questions, just how about you say, well, "What's wrong with that? It's a question," and let me know how that goes for you. Please.
Exactly.
I want to know.
And like for him to use those, like I said, he's basically admitting to what he's done and thinks that what he did isn't bad.
Yeah.
Which, again, seal of disapproval from Jake.
But maybe in his mind, he thought like these aren't like, and I'm not saying this to defend him at all, but maybe in his mind he thought these are normal questions.
Yeah.
Because some people can ask. I mean, you match with someone on a dating site. There's some people that respond almost to those like not those questions specifically, but those questions of like, hey, want to have sex? Like they respond to it differently than others.
Right. And that's people who, are comfortable with those kind of questions.
But I do
But
not endorse asking those questions.
exactly. Um but like but I can't wrap my head around how somebody like Jeff could ask a 15-year-old these kind of questions
I
and
mean,
think that they're all right.
who even looks at a 15, 14-year old girl and goes, "Ooh." Like, no. Like,
Well, that's like it's one of the first episodes of TCAP where they show a picture of the decoy, and it was, if I remember correctly, it's a Dateline employee's picture from when she was like 13 or 14 years old, and like it's like this girl with curly hair, braces, and a Santa hat.
yeah, like the
Like,
innocent of of innocence. I just said something
I was gonna
dumb.
say that again. Please say that again for me.
I'm good.
The innocence of innocent.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. It's a comment.
I I heard that sentence begin, and I instantly knew that what you were going to say was going to be wrong.
Let's just move on.
Anyway, now you made me lose my train of thought. I hate you so much.
You're welcome. Oh, we were talking about that. How can someone look at a young individual and just
Right.
go, "Ooh, yeah, I want that."
Right. So like I get it if you're that age, like if you are 13 years old and you're attracted to another 13-year-old,
That makes sense
that is perfectly normal.
and
But
won't
when
get
you
you
are
thrown in jail.
exactly, but when you are 27 years old and you look at a 13 or 15-year-old, that and you find that person sexually attractive, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like there's something not right there. Like not just morally, but mentally. Like
Yeah.
for somebody to, like you said, look at someone that young and be like, yes, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay. That is one, disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you nasty.
What's wrong with
And
that?
God, I hate you so much. Oh, excuse me, man. Coca-Cola gives me the burps. So back at his interrogation, they're telling him, he's gonna go to jail, and he does the best. He goes he sounds like he's so like sleepy, but he's so remorseful for what he's done. So he's just like, please don't. I didn't know. And it's like, dude, shut up.
And then he starts like they're like doing the processing of like getting him in their system, what have you, and he's just sitting there like, I'm I'm just gonna kill myself. I'm just gonna kill myself. And I want to say this part before we move on. We are not making jokes about, you know, suicide here, but in this situation, just how silly he is. I just want to put that out there. Um, but he then, as he's like signing papers, um, he grabs the pen and tries to stab himself. So I guess when was this?
What do you mean?
When did this thing happen again?
Two
2008, 7.
Hold on, let me look right now. Pulling it up. 2009.
Okay, so I guess he watched The Dark Knight and decided to try and stab himself with a pen. I know it's not a pencil, but still, but he failed.
How about a magic trick?
Yeah, how about a magic trick? Yeah, he sat in the interrogation room going, "Hey guys, want to see a magic trick?" Oh boy.
Oh Lord. And
But after they do that, they handcuff him, and he keeps repeating, I don't care. I'm just gonna kill myself. I'm just gonna kill." They don't care at all. They're like, okay, and what's your birth date?
well, that's because you got to think people like that. Well, not like Jeff Stacy. Like police officers and detectives who do this for a living, and they interrogate people that have just been caught doing heinous crimes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think this is something that they probably hear on a daily basis. Like how when you go to work in the morning and you see somebody that you work with and they say good morning, they probably hear this just as much as they hear good morning.
I get that, but I'm just and I'm not saying like, oh, they stop everything that they're doing and they're like, oh, well, let's get you a therapist. I'm not saying that, but I just find it like somewhat humorous, just a little bit, because I'm weird and sick. That um, I just find it that somewhat comical of that they are just like so like mm-hmm. So where do you live?
Yeah, and like the ooh, I just totally stuttered. Take a shot.
And
So
and you say I'm
listen, judging from your sentence that you gave earlier, the innocence of innocent, I don't want to hear it out of you. So, like I was saying, I don't even know where I was going with that because you totally threw my mind off.
hee hee.
Oh yeah, so with the detective, as he's saying these things, the detective's just like, just calm down, like in the most monotone, like he's like, just behave, don't do it, and Jeff Stacy says this great line, and I think it's like he's like, no, I don't even care. I'm gonna put myself in a. He's like, put me in a cell. I'll kill myself there. And the detective is just like, just calm down. Like the detective is so over him making these threats, and like disclaimer, as CG said, we're not making fun of suicide or anything. It's more or less just the way Jeff Stacy is approaching these things. Um, he one and like you said, once he tries to sign his rights away, he makes that half-hearted attempt to uh, stab himself in the neck. either he watched Dark Knight, like you said, or he saw part 4, part 4 or 5. I forget which one it is.
Okay.
It's a scene where Scott Patterson stabs himself in the throat with the pen. If Have you seen Saw?
I have not.
Okay, so you don't get that reference.
Well, what if our
Yeah.
viewers have?
So to the viewers who have seen Saw, you know the classic scene. Character's head's in a box filling up with water. He needs to be able to breathe. Stabs himself in the neck with a pen. For CG to know who I'm talking about, the guy that does it is the guy that we met at Comic-Con from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I think of when he goes to make that half-hearted attempt to stab himself in the neck. Is the scene from Saw 4 or 5? I don't remember which one it is.
And
People let us know which Saw it is to correct me.
and here's the thing with the pen. He didn't, like, even if he was successful and getting it in his neck, it wouldn't have done anything. It would have
Correction.
just hurt.
Correction. It depends on how deep he gets it in.
Yeah, but come on. Do we really think he's going to get it in deep? I did not mean for it to sound. That was not my intention to make it.
Oh boy.
That was not my intention to make it sound like that. My apologies.
Intention or not, you say it that way, and it's gonna be taken that way.
What's wrong with that?
All right.
It's a comment.
It's a comment. So he's then put away. Do we have his amount of time he was put away?
Yes, I have it right here. So he pleaded not guilty. What a shock. But he was found guilty.
No.
Really? And sentenced to 6 months in jail. And Ohio sex offender registry, as well as sex offender
counseling.
It's assumed during that time he put his meat handling skills to good use. Jeff was not a lifetime
Oh, okay. So he was not a lifetime registrant, and has been removed. So he was only a registered sex offender for a period of time.
Yeah.
Which I honestly I don't agree with.
Mm-mm. But we haven't gotten to the best part, which we will get to.
Yes, we will get to that. But like, why? Like, I'm trying to think. Why was he not put on the registry for lifetime?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. And in Jeff's response to all of this is, what's wrong with that?
So like I just don't understand that. Like, I don't get what what decides how long you're going to be on the sex offender registry.
Yeah.
And for him to get off the sex offender registry, I don't necessarily agree with, being based off of his chat and him and the way he talked about it, where he found nothing wrong with what he was saying.
And he basically normalized it as almost like a regular conversation.
Right. So let's go to your favorite part, the part you want to talk about the most.
Yeah, my favorite part is, and I don't know about you, but I think I hear some wedding bells.
Yes, we do hear some wedding bells. Jeff Stacy, once out of prison, I mean, like we said, he was only in prison for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Once released, Jeff Stacy then did find the love of his life and then did marry.
Yeah, he married in late 2018. Some say the wedding vows were till death by pen do us part.
Oh dear God.
That's on the wiki.
Yeah.
So for anybody out there who is looking for love, just remember, if Jeff Stacy can get married, so can you.
Exactly.
So there is somewhat hope.
Yes, there is somewhat hope for the both of us.
I mean, not so much me, but you know, that's a yoga move.
Yeah, that's a yoga move. Um, so like we say, he was convicted. He served his sentence. He was on the registry for Ohio. He is off the registry now. Some would say that he has gone and served his time. He's been delivered a nice hefty serving of justice from Chris Hansen himself and the Ohio Police Department. And now it seems that he's turned his life around, which we're very happy for him.
Are we?
I mean, you got to think we're happy for him that he's made an attempt to turn his life around, but that does not absolve him from what he did. He still gets the Jake seal of disapproval.
I mean, the woman that he's with, it looks like him with a wig.
And no beard.
Yeah, no beard.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Jeff has grown a beard.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? So with that said, I think that about wraps it up for Jeff. Unless you have anything.
Something that we did forget to say in the him talking with Chris, he did ask the decoy if she was a cop. And when Chris did ask about that, he was like, well, my friends who are druggies.
Let me double check with this real quick. If I remember correctly, last episode, I almost said last week. It's been a little bit of time since this episode has come out. If I remember correctly, it was brought to my attention that we did miss Anthony Palumbo's sentencing back from episode 2. Shout out to a listener, our listener April, who has been following the show since it started. She did send me via Facebook Anthony his sentencing. He was arrested as part of the Ocean County, New Jersey sting in March of 2007. He was convicted on a charge of criminal attempt and sentenced to a lifetime of parole supervision and registration as a sex offender. So thank you, April, for the assistance there. Like we said, we did want to shout out those who would help us for get some information for everybody on the show. So,
Look, I was. What's wrong with that? So I was looking at some of the great just behind the scenes stuff on the wiki page. When he was arrested, he was found holding $1 and over 20 keys on a ring. Why do you need that many keys?
I was gonna say, I don't even think I have that many keys on my key ring. Let me hold on. Where's my key? I have 4 keys. Yeah, I got 4 keys. I got my car key, 2 house keys, and a key for my locker at work.
Yeah, like, why do you need that many keys?
I feel like it could have been, like he uses one to unlock the front door. He uses one to unlock the back door. But then he's got a front door deadbolt, so he's got to have a key for that. A back door deadbolt, so he's got to have a key for that. So like he's just got all these different doors that have like 2 locks on each of them. So he's got to have like 1,000 keys.
Oh my! Well, why? Like, even if that's the case, why?
I couldn't tell you. I only have 4 keys on my key ring.
Yeah.
And a bottle opener. I have a bottle opener on my key ring.
Like, I have more like just like.
You got stupid stuff on your key ring.
Yeah. I have like random just doodads than anything. Yes, I said doodads.
I have a friend who has you remember Cheese from Foster Son for Imaginary Friends?
A little bit, yes.
She has a cheese keychain, which
Oh,
is
okay.
by far my favorite thing in the world because I love cheese from Foster's.
Oh, okay.
All right. So do we have anything else on Jeff that we would like to bring up before we hint to next week's episode?
I don't have anything unless you have anything.
I do not have anything left on Jeff Stacy. So, for next week's episode, I keep saying next week. I apologize. We may not be able to put it out next week. It all depends on work schedules.
Yeah, scheduling.
So, for the next episode of To Cap It Off, the To Catch a Predator podcast, our hint for the next episode is Lieutenant.
And screaming.
And screaming. Yes, we will put screaming. So Lieutenant and screaming will be our hints for the next Predator. So if you do want to submit your answers for who you think it could be, send us a message on Facebook at To Cap It Off, the To Catch a Predator podcast. On Facebook, you can also be a part of the TCAP, the world of TCAP. Is that what it is? Or no, for the love of TCAP.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
For the love of TCAP Facebook group. Go ahead, join that, and send us all of your memes that you may have on that group. And like I said, if you want to answer our hint to see who you think it is, let us know. If you do get it, the first person to get it correctly will get a shout out on next week's episode. Darn it, I keep saying
on
next
the next
week.
on the next episode when we record, we will do a shout out. How's that?
Thank you for that. So, with that said, I am your host, Jake Scholl.
I'm CG Myers.
And we will see you next time on To Cap It Off, the To Catch a Predator podcast. Thank you very much, and have a seat.
What's wrong with
I'm
that?
just on my way to the beach.
You can put that in the fridge.
You know what? I don't want this cookie.
No, I just stopped by.
What's wrong with that?